What's up, everyone? Welcome to 49ers Coast to Coast. We're your hosts at Rhymes. I didn't even think about that. Grant Cohn, Jason Aponte. A little later than usual today. I got some family stuff going on, which is I'm going to be saying that a lot the next couple of months. It's all under control and stuff, but every few days I got to drop everything and go someplace like Batman. So we were going to cancel the show, but it ended up not taking that long. So we're here right before Thursday Night Football, which no one's going to really watch. I don't even know who's playing tonight. It's great to see you.
Arizona and Green Bay. What do you mean? This is a huge game. Yeah, this is a huge game. Your Arizona Cardinals, the undefeated Arizona Cardinals.
They just took a hit. They took a hit.
Yeah, and now the Green Bay Packers are going to be missing Devontae Adams, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Alan Lazard. So we're going to see what Aaron Rodgers is made of tonight. There's a lot going on tonight. Thursday Night Football's got a little bit of juice.
That will be interesting. I'm flying out to Chicago tomorrow. You're flying out to Chicago on Saturday. It's going to be a what do they call it? When I don't know, a takeover?
It's going to be it's good. Well, all right. I don't know if it's going to be a 49ers takeover, but it will be, as the kids usually call it, lit. And it will be
it's going to be lit. That's what I was looking for.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the name of this show today is The Future Bright? What we're going to do is go position by position, starting on defense, and just talk like who's going to be here next year, and then give a little overview of what we think the state of that position is, and then we'll, I guess, look big picture after that. But we're going to start with the news of the day. Seth Wickersham getting a lot of free publicity on his book. News trickles out every couple of days. A few days ago was the thing about the Niners and Patriots and Jimmy Garoppolo. Kyle denied it. Now Ian Rappaport comes out and said it wasn't even possible. The Patriots didn't even have the cap space. So what do you think of Rappaport's report about Wickersham's report?
Okay. So I want to talk about the wave of emotions that 49ers fans had because I went through them, right? Let's just do it this way. Let's do it this way. Okay. So the report comes out, and then it comes out from Wickersham, who is a reputable source, right? This isn't some internet guy running. Right, correct. Yeah. And he has been able to document what happened with Tom Brady at the end of his time there, and he's very much tapped into the Patriots, right? So this already gives it validity based on the person, right? So it comes out.
Also, Niner fans have been quoting Seth Wickersham since 2017 when they got Jimmy Garoppolo in the trade, right? Because Seth Wickersham was the one who was like, the Patriots didn't want to trade him, and Belichick was mad, and the Niners won the trade. Niner fans loved Wickersham until 2 days ago.
Of course, right.
Yeah.
So that's why the validity of it, when you hear where it's coming from, you have to automatically give it eyes. Everybody automatically pivoted and said, oh, it's Matt Miller. No, Matt Miller was literally was tweeting about the excerpt from Wickersham's book. Right. So let's do it correctly. Like let's lay this out correctly, okay?
And that's where I think the problem started. I read a summarization of I didn't read the book. I read Matt Miller's summarization, which may have used the word offer. I don't remember. But I don't want to get ahead of you. Anyway, I think that's where the problem started, Matt Miller.
Right. So that's the thing, is that Matt Miller already has this reputation amongst 49ers fans as being a bulky apologist and someone who is trying to stir the pot. Right now, in terms of
him talking not pro-Lynch. That's been
right, exactly. So in terms of, Lynch and Kyle, there's a rift. At least there's somewhat now where you can at least try to put that together. But at the time that he was making those claims, that they had no sort of basis or anything like that, right? So I think that at first there was the apprehension from 49ers fans based on that. But let me give you the 49er fan, point of view on this. So this comes out, Wickersham posts it, and he says, he said, you read the excerpt and it says something about a second-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, so the first wave of emotion from 49er fans is absolute anger.
Nausea,
anger, sickness, because and you sit there and you're like, how on earth could you even think about turning this down or anything like that? Okay, so then you go to sleep on that, right? I wake up in the morning. This morning, 49er fans wake up in the morning, and I think that I came to sort of a realization.
Well, I asked Kyle yesterday, and he was like, first of all, I'm tired of talking about this guy's book. And second, there was no offer. If there had been an offer, I'm pretty sure me and Bill Belichick would have spoken about this at some point.
Right. I'm laying out the timeline. I'm laying out the timeline too, because we get up on the East Coast a little bit earlier than you do. I mean, you guys are early, but if I'm up at like 7, it's 4:00 where you guys are. So I'm up at 7 with my daughter, and I'm starting to put it together in my head. So here's the scenarios that I laid out. Right. Here's the first scenario. Let's say that there was a call. Let's just say there was a call, right? And this is the first scenario. Hi, I'm the New England Patriots. Hi, 49ers. what's the price on Jimmy Garoppolo? And they say first round. Okay.
Which had been reported. Been reported. Like, that was common knowledge.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
First, and you're serious about that? You weren't joking?
Yeah. And you hang up. Okay, you hang up. All right. Scenario 2 is, hey, this is the New England Patriots, 49ers. We want to offer you a second for Jimmy Garoppolo. And the 49ers say, no, we want a first. That was the one that was more doomsday, doom and gloom more than anything.
Right.
Either way, regardless, the 49ers have misvalued Jimmy Garoppolo one way or another. Even if this call never happened, how informal, formal, whatever it is that you're talking about. I think that that's where I was at in the morning. Okay, we get to the press conference where you ask the question.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you ask the question, and listen, whether you believe Kyle Shanahan or not, that's completely up to you, right? Like, I'm not here to sway you.
I botched the question. I said it's been reported that you turned down an offer. Like, I already messed that up.
Well,
I'm the worst lawyer, by the way.
No,
anyway,
honestly, you asked the question correctly, but I'll tell you this. Kyle looked you dead in your face and was like, nope. No chance.
He did. He had much more confidence than I expected. I felt
exactly.
Like dance it. Yeah.
That's what I was tweeting about. I didn't want word salad. I didn't want this dance around of you not saying anything. And then I think the part that really gave me confidence was, if that was something that was on the table, I would have talked to the coach, almost saying, if they would have offered that, we would have packed his bags and sent him off in that case. So listen, one way or another, I'm not here to sway anyone who's watching this into believing whatever Kyle Shanahan said. But I will say this, I am choosing to believe Kyle Shanahan because of his confidence. And he almost sounded like how we would have sounded if they would have mentioned second round. By the time he gets to pick, I will already said he's on the way. We're not even like, and hang up the phone and send the paperwork. So Kyle Shanahan answered it correctly. For me, it becomes a dead issue. And then to hear Rappaport do all of those other things and say all those things completely knocks it out of the park. Now, whether this damages Wickersham's credibility, who is now walking it back on Twitter, walking it back, I never said, all those things, is one thing. But one thing that I want to point out to 49er fans is, yes, this gets eyes on his books, but the point is, why would you put in this little bit about the 49ers? 49er fans are not going to run out to buy your book just to hear about this little part. I promise you that it wasn't like necessarily something that was to up his book sales. It's got eyes on the book. Maybe more Patriots fans have bought the book. But this whole idea that he put it in there to get 49er fans to buy it, I don't really buy that, because 49er fans are not going to buy this just for a little excerpt.
What I find that's interesting about this is it doesn't matter, ultimately. It's not a big deal. It's old news. But it makes the 49ers look bad if it's true. And why does it make the Niners look bad? Because when they do eventually trade Jimmy Garoppolo, it's not going to be for a second-round pick.
No way.
It's not going to be for a third-round pick.
Well, and like you said,
it might be a fourth if they're lucky.
It's widely reported that they wanted a first anyway, which is already them misvaluing Jimmy Garoppolo at this point, especially when you consider coming off the 2020 season. I could even see you maybe offering that in 2019, which I don't think any team would have paid that. But coming off of a year where he was injured, for you to even have that widely reported that you were looking for at first shows that you've misvalued Jimmy Garoppolo from the jump. And that's the part that 49er fans should be more concerned with, I think.
But I just think it's funny at this point, now that Jimmy's lost 3 in a row, the Niners are at 2-4, and the trade deadline's looming, and we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months. Look, Rappaport breaks all the 49ers news. It seems like the Niners are highly motivated to refute this report, which is a report they could laugh off. They could be like, whatever, not even going to dignify it. But they're like, no. We want to set the record straight. That did not happen. To me, because that really creates a perception that they're incompetent. Because when they trade him for a 5th-round pick, there's like, what the hell did you do?
And think about this. In 2017, you sent the 2nd-round pick. In 2020, you could have gotten a 2nd-round pick back, considering that his value was as low as it was at that point. That is a no-doubt slam dunk win if that's the case. But
what could you have gotten in 2020 when Brady wanted to come here, when he was coming off a Super Bowl loss and hadn't gotten hurt in a while? What could you have gotten then? Maybe a first? Maybe a first.
Right.
That to me is why they're holding out for his first, because it probably wasn't that long ago when he actually was worth that. And it must be hard to accept that he's not going to be worth that anymore.
Well, and I think that you should be more concerned with the fact that the 49ers gambled on him playing well to uphold this whatever they thought, this 1st-round pick, knowing full well that he probably wasn't going to make it through the season based on injury. I think that you should be more concerned with the fact that they valued him that high and that they gambled on the idea of that. That's what we talked about all offseason. You gamble by putting Jimmy Garoppolo out there. Sure. Could he up his trade value? Sure. But I didn't think it was likely because he already hit his ceiling in 2019. The only thing he could really likely do is diminish his trade value, which is clearly done now. And I think that's really what 49er fans should be a little bit more upset about. Never the fact that it was a second round pick that was offered or anything like that, is that you gambled and you now are in the predicament you are. And if you get a fourth round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo right now, that's an absolute win. You hang up the phone and you send him, you pack his bags and get him out of here.
Yeah. And just real quick before we move on, what Wickersham wrote in his book, which surprisingly, the actual excerpt from his book was not the thing that went viral. It was the summary. What he wrote in his book was a high-level employee of the Patriots called a high-level employee of the 49ers to gauge trade value interest. And it was like a very theoretical, hypothetical, if the guy were available, what would you want kind of conversation. That's the way he framed it. So maybe Matt Miller made him look bad. Maybe he didn't necessarily walk it back. Maybe he just got taken out of context. It seems like he used a bunch of weasel words that, kind of created a fire, but insulated him from the damage and was like, actually, I said it in such a way that it just created drama, but really it wasn't that big of a deal. So I could see the Patriots calling him up like, are you still serious about that first? And the Niners being like, well, yeah. And then the Patriots being like, well, what if it was a second? And the Niners being like, no. But
so that's the problem.
If that's the problem. Like, what if they said, what if it's a second?
If that's the conversation, then that's what should make you mad, right? Yeah. It shouldn't be, okay, that's what I said. Like when the scenarios, when you lay them out, the first scenario is, what's the price? Okay, it's a first. Okay, thank you. And they hang up. Or, hey, we'll give you a second. No, we want a first. And then they hang up.
You wouldn't even want a second. Like there are kind of ways you could put it, right? We're not offering a second, but just to be clear, you wouldn't even take a second.
Right. And that's the part that should be more concerning. Like if they came to you in that fashion, that's the part that should concern you. But the part that should concern you overall is the fact that you even thought you could get a first for Jimmy Garoppolo and you were betting on upping his trade value this year. That's what should concern you. Forget all that other stuff. You've misvalued Jimmy Garoppolo, and this gamble has blown up in your face now, and you'd be lucky to get a fourth now for Jimmy Garoppolo.
I mean, this season is sort of if it goes bad, you could name this season, I don't know what you'd name it, but the 49ers wasted a season trying to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what they did this year.
Trying to play 4D chess. Yeah. And it did not work. It just did not work. And that was always my point. If there was any sort of value for Jimmy Garoppolo before this season, off of that injury in 2020, you had to pounce on it because there was no way that I felt he could have upped his trade value this year because he hit his ceiling in 2019. I've been very clear on this on your show many times talking about the same exact thing. And now it's blown up in your face. And now you will not be able to get a ham sandwich for this man, especially when you consider what's going to be out there next year for free agents and such.
And it's not just that Jimmy's plateaued, which he has, and that he's gotten hurt again, which he has. It's that the offense is falling apart around him because the offense is built on players who are injury prone. And so right now he's kind of dealing with the situation Nick Mullins was going through last year where Kittle's not out there. Mostert's not out there. It's kind of the A team, but it's a little bit of the B team. And Jimmy's not good enough to, win and put up great numbers and increase his trade value under those kind of conditions. It was always like, if things go great, like they did in 2019, then he'll look good and we'll win games and we can trade him. But that's not what's happening. It's not all his fault.
Here's the two things that you could point out that Jimmy Garoppolo did well when he's going well. He was nails on third down. Yeah. And he was great after mistakes. Neither are happening right now. Neither.
They're off
on third down. They were 1 for 11 on Sunday. And I don't care about the rain because it was happening before that. When it rained or shine, whatever. I don't want to hear that. And the fact that after interceptions, he comes back. No, when he throws a ball that's an interceptable ball, he falls into a spiral. These are things that are not happening right now, and this is why
whatever Mullins played last year,
and whatever value you had a chance to move on last year, like let's say even somebody came on it with a third, you had to make that move at that point because right now you are going to lose him for nothing at this point next year.
Chris says maybe the reports are right. Jimmy for number 2. Oh man,
a doo-doo.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I get the joke, Chris. Wilson Jr., Mitchell Sermon. Sermon, is he on the team? Is he actually on this team?
Who?
I remember the Niners drafting him. All right, let's go. Let's talk about the future of this team. The present is a little bleak. 4-game losing streak. If they lose to the Bears, So help them, God. But they haven't lost to the Bears yet, and I don't think they will. Anyway.
I don't think they will either.
This season kind of feels like limbo. Like they're kind of just stuck in the middle. So what about the future? Trey Lance is exciting. We're going to get to the quarterbacks. Let's go defense first, position by position, figure out who's going to be here next year and what we think of what they got. DB. I can name some names. You tell me if you think he'll be here next year.
Go for it.
Okay. Verrett.
No.
K1.
No.
Tart.
No.
Mosley.
Yes.
Jimmy Ward.
Yes.
Okay, so in the right there, they're losing 3 starters in the secondary, and then the backups they got Ambry Thomas, he'll be back.
Yep.
Talanoa, he'll be back.
Yep.
Josh Norman.
No.
Drake Kirkpatrick.
No.
Dante Johnson. Yes.
No.
Okay.
Oh well, I mean, yes, because he's eternal. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'll take that back.
Okay. So the Niners' defensive backfield for 2021 currently consists of Mosley, Ward, Ambry Thomas, Talanoa, and Diamador Lenore. That's 5 players. Did I miscount that?
No.
Anyway, what do you think?
I mean, they're going to have to add people in free agency, and they're going to have to add people in the draft, and hopefully that's something that they value depending on where they pick in the second round and who's out there. But this is largely the problem with this whole run it back 2019. I know 49er fans don't want to hear the R word, but there's going to be 34 guys, and we're going to go through all of them that are probably not going to be here next year. And this team is going to look drastically different next year. And it starts with a lot of those guys as well, too. Listen, no knock against Jason Verrett. I just think that someone else will give him a chance. And I think that they've kind of run their course with that. Tart, I think, is, he's going to be back. He's not going to play this week. He'll be back sooner than later. It's not going to be something that's multi-week as people are stating, and I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I would expect to see him next week against the Arizona Cardinals, but at that point, someone else is going to probably pay him. They probably will let that go. Jimmy Ward is going to walk, and Mosley will probably be here. And like you said, those rookies, Ambry and Diamador, and then when you're talking about Dante Johnson is inevitable. He's going to end up on this roster one way or another, so.
Final destination on the 49ers. That's Dante Johnson. I don't like this defensive backfield. The safeties are okay. I mean, Jimmy Ward's good, and Talanoa looks like he might be promising. Like he might.
We're gonna find out this week.
Yeah, we're gonna find out about Talanoa. Good point. I'm not sure that the Niners have any starting caliber cornerbacks for next year, and I include Mosley in there. I like Mosley. He has good games, but then he'll have games where he gets roasted and then he misses time. He looks like he's the kind of guy who's like, I don't know, maybe your nickel, maybe a high-level backup. He could start, but are you going to get 17 games from Emmanuel Mosley? And how? I don't know. Anyway, he's the best you got. After that,
he's a good 2 when your defensive line is getting getting pressure. Right.
Great. Yeah.
Right. When your D line is getting pressure, he can be a great 2. And I think that last week, don't be a victim of recency bias.
Okay, because I'm doing that right now.
All right, yeah, because I was gonna say he was pretty good the weeks before that, right?
He was phenomenal.
And like you said, it's 1 or 2 weeks or whatever where it's like that. But, I understand what you're saying in terms of that. He's not like a high level starter, but he can be a good number 2 as well, too.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't want to poo-poo him in that way.
Okay, that's cool. So Mosley, fine, and he's cheap. But if they're just going to think like, well, Diamador is going to step up next year or Ambry's going to step up, they're going to have to show something in the regular season, not training camp, preseason. Otherwise, this is way too important of a position for the Niners to just go like, oh, we got Diamador. It's all good. Like, no, you're going to need to draft this position high, no later than round 2, or sign someone significant. This is a position of importance in the offseason.
One more thing I want to point out with Lenore. I did Croc's morning show this morning, and he kind of pointed out something that I don't think people are talking about. I think that everybody's in love with this idea that Lenore is this outside corner, but he's not built like an outside corner. He doesn't run like an outside corner. He is more of a nickel than he is anything, and that's what he was labeled when he was drafted. Okay. I remember that correctly about him being K1's replacement. So this isn't like some sort of plug and play.
That would be Lenore, great because they're going to need K1's replacement.
Right. Yeah. Right. So that's the thing. So like it's not some plug and play outside thing. He doesn't have the speed to be downfield or anything like that. I understand that he played very well in the first.
And he was giving up big plays down the field.
Right. So that's the point, right? So like I think that and not to poo-poo Lenore playing in the nickel because those are 2 completely different positions. And what I mean by that is, yes, you're playing corner, but you also have to know your blitz packages, your run fits. You also like listen, when you guard
slot linebacker.
Yeah. Right. And when you guard slot receivers, like Jalen Ramsey was going up against Hunter Renfrow, and there's a bunch of clips of Hunter Renfrow, beating Jalen Ramsey, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, no!" Do you understand that there's a difference between being a slot and an outside? You can't get hands on those guys. They're shifty. Yeah. They win in different ways. There's a difference between
they have a two-way go. You can't use the sideline. All of it. It's hard.
Absolutely. So it's hard. It's much different. So that's the thing, is that I think that 49er fans have in their head, because of injuries, that Lenoir had to play on the outside, and he did what he did against the, let's just face it, the Lions, their barren wide receiver group,
and the backups of the preseason.
Right, and then the Eagles game, he kind of got beat by Kes Watkins on that long play, right? And then, there's that other play down the field where, yes, the guy stepped out. But I don't want people to confuse Lenoir as some sort of outside corner when it feels like he's more of a nickel than anything.
So they definitely need a starting corner this offseason. Maybe a starting nickel, but Diamador is an ace up your sleeve. Mm-hmm. They might need a starting strong safety, but we're going to find out a lot about Talanoa. I would honestly love to get 2 starting corners, but they don't have that kind of draft capital. So just get 1.
Right.
Just get 1.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Linebacker.
Fred's here.
Right. This is tough. We got Fred Warner.
He's here.
Dre Greenlaw. I believe he has 1.
I have thoughts on Dre Greenlaw.
Yes, I do as well. He's still going to be under contract. I think he's about $1 million. I wouldn't cut him, but I wouldn't extend him either. Last year of his contract, I think he'll be here. I don't know how much he'll play. He's hurt. Okay. Then you got Azeez Al-Shaair.
He stays.
Well, he's going to be a free agent.
He has to stay. Here's why. Okay. If this season goes left for this 49ers team, what I mean is, if you become sellers quickly, the trade deadline's coming up. Let's say the 49ers blow this game against the Bears, right?
Yeah.
I think you have to trade Dre Greenlaw.
Wow.
Listen, 49er fans, yell in the comments. I'm not looking at them. I don't care. Here's what I want to tell you. Dre Greenlaw has regressed. Don't tell me about the play against Seattle in 2019. Don't tell me about any of those things. He's regressed with his missed tackles. Don't tell me about missed tackles because you're not in position to make the tackles. He takes poor angles. He's not in his run fit gaps. Azeez Al-Shaair is much more of a difference maker right now for much cheaper than Dre Greenlaw is. Do not extend Dre Greenlaw for a ton of money. He's undersized, and right now his value is as high as it is. You can net a 3rd round pick, a 2nd or 3rd round pick for Dre Greenlaw at the deadline if you want to move him. And here's the thing. If you invest more money in Greenlaw with him regressing, you are basically living off of the 2019 season. I don't care, 49er fans. You can yell at me all you want. Watch the tape, man. That Rich Madrid quote. Watch the tape. He's in the wrong gaps. He's not the guy you think he is because of that Seattle stop, right? Stop living in 2019. The guy's regressing, and now he's injured. Don't tell me about the pick 6 in week 1. That thing fell in his hands. Azeez Al-Shaair has made more plays in these last 5 games, 6 games than Dre Greenlaw has since 2019. In 2020, he wasn't good. He wasn't good. I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me that he was good. DK Metcalf scores.
I didn't say anything.
No, not you. 49er fans in the comments. I'm not looking. I'm not looking at the comments. Everybody's like, "Oh, Jason's tweaking."
I have no attachment to Dre Greenlaw.
No. Oh, Jason's tweaking. Oh, Dre Greenlaw. No.
The only thing I would question, and I love your passion right now, is that you could get a 2nd round pick for Dre.
Of course. Greenlaw. And you can, and you should. And if right now a team comes to you right now and says they want a 2nd round pick for Dre Greenlaw, you smash the button on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't see that happening. About? But if that could happen, great. If you could get a 3rd, I would take a 4th.
I would take a 3rd. I would take a 3rd, and I would take a 4th around there. But listen, I just want to dispel this narrative because I feel like Azeez Al-Shaair has passed him. He's past him right now. And that's an undrafted free agent. And this is a guy that you are living basically off of nostalgia.
Hold on. You're putting me in a position where I'm defending
Not you.
I'm going to defend Drake Greenlaw. He played one game
comments that I can't see. The imaginary comments that I can't see.
He played one game this year. Maybe he would have improved the way Azeez Al-Shaair has improved.
Maybe.
Because Al-Shaair's taken a great – he's looked phenomenal since week 1. Not phenomenal, but he's been way better than
Nick
last year.
Nick Bosa is the only player on defense that has played better than him right now, and that includes Fred Warner. And I'm comfortable in saying that right now. Fred Warner had a fine game. Fred Warner's having a fine season. I'm not trying to, but Azeez Al-Shaair's jump is too big.
He's a free agent, and I wouldn't pay him a lot of money because he's had injury issues too. But I don't think he's going to cost you a lot of money.
No, they won't. That's the point.
Yeah,
that's the point. That's the point.
So you can bring him back on a cheap deal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you can get, so it's about value. It's about value and what you give, right? Dre Greenlaw, because of 2019 stop at the goal line, is going to try to get this extension. And I think 49er fans are clamoring for that. And that just doesn't make sense. It's not big business right now. It doesn't make sense right now because of 2020.
Let me just say one more thing in defense of Dre Greenlaw. He has good hand-eye coordination for a defensive player.
He's a former safety. I would hope so. I mean, like, this is what
they do. Man, I know safeties on this team that have bananas for hands.
Okay.
I'm not talking about, I'm not using any names, but I'm just saying he does. I mean, that pick he had over the shoulder was nice.
That was nice.
Look, he's not I don't think he's a liability. I wouldn't extend his contract.
Wouldn't say that.
And you know what? I might extend Azeez Al-Shaair's contract, but not for more. I wouldn't give more than $1 million a year.
All right, so let me ask you this, and this is what I'm going to post to 49er fans in the imaginary comments that I can't see right now because I'm sure they're killing me. Who has more value right now in terms of the league, right? Like around the league, if you came to teams and said, we can give you okay, that's the point, right? So
no one's ever heard of Azeez Al-Shaair.
Exactly, right? Exactly. That's
okay. So Greenlaw's trade bait. Azeez Al-Shaair is someone that could re-sign on the low, and then the last few people at linebacker are Demetrius Flanagan-Foles.
I like him. He's fine.
Yeah, and that's about it. So what do you think of this? It's a strong linebacker core. It's strong.
That's my point.
It's found money right now.
That's my point, right? Like, it's like, okay, now you have a chance to cash in on a guy who isn't necessarily a difference maker. He's a guy who is solid, but around the league, I think the reputation that 49er fans have given Dre Greenlaw, and I think what people feel outside of the league or around the league is something that you can get something back for at this point. And instead of giving him an extension for like 4 years, 60 million, something like that. Like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, last position group, and then we're going to take some questions. Defensive line. Eric Armstead.
He's going to be here. His cap hit is too big. You
can't
move him. Can't move him.
Nick Bosa.
He's here.
He's going to be here. Are they going to extend his contract, or will they play out the rookie deal? It'll be the 4th year of his rookie contract.
They're going to probably have to extend him quicker than not, and especially the way he's played this year. Off of the injury, man, he's been incredible. He's the best player on his defense.
Okay, so Nick Bosa's due for an extension. DJ Jones.
I would love for DJ Jones to be here, man. I really would. I think that he's really good as well, too. I think that the question
is he's going to be a free agent.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I just don't think he'll be here. I think that the question that you really are about to ask is the one that's really tough.
Well, sure. I'm going to say lean no on DJ Jones, although they could all these guys who signed 1-year deals could do it again, but I'm not sure he will. Javon Kinlaw.
That's the problem. Yeah. That's it right there, right?
Yeah.
You drafted him as high as you did. Unfortunately, so here's the question that I'm going to pose to you. How much of what's going on is this tendonitis thing that everybody knew about, or that injury that he got against Dallas that they've maybe mismanaged? That's a question that I'm going to pose to you. Is how bad was that injury, and that they kind of like arthritis is one thing. D Ford was able to make it back somehow, right? And it was arthritis, right? But Kinlaw, there's something else. And I don't think it's just necessarily the arthritis. I think that injury that he sustained in that Cowboys game last year is much more significant than people understand or are leading on in this organization.
All I'm saying is if the Niners stick by Jalen Hurd this passionately and loyally, they're going to stick by Kinlaw too. But I don't know what to expect from this guy moving forward.
Don't even bring up his name. Can you just stop it?
Sorry.
Jalen Hurd.
You know what I'm saying. D Ford.
They worked his contract out. He's going to be here next year, I think.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know.
That's hard to stomach, man.
They reworked his contract. Remember, the cap hit was less. They reworked his contract to open up some money. Thanks, Parag.
Oh, my God. He signed through. Yeah. Oh.
He's not going anywhere. He's not
D
going
Ford
anywhere.
is not going anywhere. They would take a $9.8 million cap hit. Dead money hit to cut him. Oh,
Wizard.
That hurts. Dude, D
Wizard
has figured out a way to make a lot of money. Good for D. Okay, so D Ford's
and he restructured. He could have just kept his contract regularly and just
honestly, man. Jeez. Okay, Sampson Ebicon.
Who?
Right?
I mean, I like the idea of him, and I understood how they were going to try to use him. But, I mean, he's either injured or he's just not fitting in right now. But he's made, like, little to no impact right now.
I think he's going to be gone. Let me tell you why. His cap number
Cap
next year. Do you know what his cap number next year is? 8.2. 8.2. Right now it's 3.7 million. Next year is 8.2. You can't pay him that.
No,
and it would be 1.7 million in dead money to cap him. You got to take that.
You got to cut him.
You got to cut him. So Sampson's gone, unless he does something good in the next few months.
Want to talk with Sampson?
Gotta get a backiotomy. Contavious Street probably gone.
Yep, he's gone.
Zach
unfortunately,
gone.
Yep.
Hurst probably gone.
This team is going to look drastically different
Way
next
different.
year.
So, so what they got basically is Armstead, Kinlaw, the ghost of Kinlaw, Nick Bosa, D Ford. That's what they got.
Yeah.
That's what they got.
This team's going to look way different. This team's going to look way different next year. Whether you want to call it a retooling, it's an R word. Retool, rebuild, reload. It's one of those. This team is going to look drastically different.
To be good, man. If he's not good, this team, I don't know how they can fix the problem. I mean, they need him to work out. So I don't know who you got to go to. Go to Germany, Switzerland, whatever Andre Iguodala does for his.
Or Kobe did. Kobe did it.
The Kobe treatment, man. The Mamba treatment. So not necessarily a dominant D-line that they've been trying to so much depends on Kinlaw. Because so far, Bosa's doing what he's supposed to do, and Armstead's doing what he's supposed to do, basically. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that.
My issue with Armstead is how they value him monetarily. We all can agree what he does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he does exactly what he's advertised, and he doesn't really miss games anymore. He used to. So you can't knock him, but is he a leader on your defense? No. Is he a playmaker as a pass rusher? No. Was he ever? No. Was he ever? No. Was he supposed to be? Not really. Is he Buckner? No. But
he's a vital piece, though.
And he's a good player. So
he's a vital piece, though. Yeah.
And he's keeping the quarterback in the freaking pocket this year. So I got no beef with him, man. Good job, Eric. All right, let's take some questions, and then we'll get back to we'll do offensive line and stuff.
Cool.
Draft cornerback, wide receiver, sign O-line in free agency, as well as leader vet players. Majority of this team will go back to being young next year. Drafting cornerback is tough when you don't have a first-round pick. It's hard.
Well, at the same time, I could say that, and then you look at the Ambry Thomas pick. The Ambry Thomas pick feels like desperation. Yeah. And that felt like we're on the clock. We need a cornerback. Who's there? This guy. It's like the guy.
Who ran a 4.3?
It's like the guy in your fantasy draft that's like on the clock and it's like 5 seconds of this guy and they just take them, right? Like that's what that felt like. It didn't feel like they really like honed in on him right there, because I'll tell you this about Ambry Thomas. I watched this film and I wanted to write a nice article about him, right? And I was like, man, this is how I'm gonna make a nice article. I'm gonna go to all his good games. His good games are littered with him just tackling guys down the field, and this is Michigan State receivers. I'm not talking about him going against like Devonta Smith or Alabama receivers, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this is a game where he had an interception. I'm just like, man, this film is not good. It's not good at all. And if you really want to see bad film, watch Chase Claypool when he was playing, work him. And that's an NFL
so what you're saying is someone who didn't really do their homework would draft Ambry Thomas. Oh, he's 6 feet and runs a 4.3. Well, pick one out. What are you gonna do? Let's gamble on some traits. Yeah.
And then look, and then to further the point, you and I were both at camp those days. Whoever was lined up across him either got a pass interference or got a reception. Whoever. Yeah. It wasn't like it was just Debo who was whipping everybody, or it wasn't like it was Ayuk. It was literally any single receiver that was across from him was whipping him or either getting a PI call.
William Money says something interesting. How close is this franchise to 2014-2015 offseason?
Not that close. No, come on, go. You go. I'm gonna mute myself.
Because that was bad. That was the whole team quit. I don't think it'll be like that, but I can see why your mind would go there. There's going to be an exodus. This team's going to look a lot different. If they go 4-13 or 5-12, the coaching staff could look different. The front office can look different. No one really knows what this team's going to look like next year. Maybe Kyle Shanahan and Jed York have a mutual parting at the end. Although I don't know.
No.
It's not even November yet. We'll see. We need a serious change. Trey Area, Bay Enemy. Oh snap!
Oh,
I like it. Hey, well, it seems to fit. Ricky says, "Hey guys, should we be sellers at the deadline or should we be buyers to see how well Lance does and maybe turn around the season?" This is a very interesting question.
Well, here's what I took away from Kyle Shanahan's press conference. He kind of let it slip. Trey was ready to take off. If it wasn't for this injury, we were going to get him ready. And then Jimmy's health. That sounded like a guy, and even John Lynch today was on KNBR. Obviously this wasn't Jimmy's best game, but we really like where Trey's at. It's sort of happening.
I have a theory real quick.
Go.
Kyle came out real hard on Monday and after the game saying, this is Jimmy's team. Like, leave me alone. And then he changed his tune on Wednesday. Big time to, well, Trey's the starter. Trey's the future. And he's not even healthy. So, it's not that I chose Jimmy over Trey. Trey's not even healthy. And, had he been healthy last week, who knows? Now, last week was the bye week. And it's like, wait a second, what are you talking about?
That doesn't jive, right?
I can't help but notice that he changed his tune. He was defensive on Monday. Like, nothing's changed. And then on Wednesday, he's like, well, I didn't necessarily say that it was Jimmy's job. Trey's hurt. I haven't even been in a position to make a call. So
that's what I took away from it.
I think Jimmy's going to start this week, but
he will.
If he loses, I think that we're probably going to see Trey.
I don't even think that necessarily he has to lose this game. I think that the 49ers,
one way or another.
Right. This could be it, right? This could be like the
trade deadline is a couple days after. They can take what they want. Take what they can get.
The 49ers could win this game with Jimmy Garoppolo not playing well. That's how bad the Bears are right now. That's a good point. Like legit. And then from there, you get who? Arizona. And right now, Arizona is in position when I just land up, who the Packers are missing to continue to be undefeated. So, and then when you look at how the way they played Arizona, now J.J. Watt's not going to be there. From the comments, from the way that all this lines up, it kind of sounds like it's getting closer to there than it ever has. And then again, all this hype up the trade value thing blows up in your face now because now Jimmy Garoppolo has been benched for a kid who hasn't played football in how many months and only played one game. To
answer your question, though, I think they should be sellers. I mean, buying with what? You already don't have first-round picks. Well, I don't think you need to be sending more picks out.
I'll tell you this. They win this game, then you go on week to week, right? And then you have a chance to win a springboard game, right? Because you were this close to beating Arizona. And you were the only team that limited Arizona to 17 points. Kyler Murray had 1 rushing yard, right? So this isn't like if you win this one Bears game, then there's a little bit of optimism. You don't necessarily have to be sellers and you don't have to be buyers. You can just sit right now at the deadline if Trey Lance takes over. And if you beat Arizona and you go into that Monday night game against the Rams feeling good like that, then the season kind of changes. Remember, look, I'm not going to be some sort of eternal optimist or somebody, like obviously the 49ers, in my opinion, aren't Super Bowl contenders, but they are one game out of the last wild card spot.
Right.
And if they win, they literally jump
hurt. JJ Watt just went down.
And that's the point. Week to week,
hang around.
Circumstances change. And if you win this game, you literally jump 2 spots because you're going to jump the team right in front of you. Right. And that's the point, right? So that's the thing, right? And then you have head-to-head games with Minnesota.
I just don't see how they buy at the deadline, though. I mean, it has to be player for
you can't
player.
buy. No. Listen, this game.
But they don't necessarily. If they beat the Bears, they're not going to sell.
No, they won't sell, but they're not buying.
They can sell Jimmy, but they're not going to sell Kittle.
No,
that would be the offseason. Brian says, let's say Trey goes in and has a Russell Wilson type day. I bet Kyle's post game would be something like, well, he had a good day, but he's not running the plays we like the way we like. No, he would say, he was really good. By no means was he perfect. There was some good, there's some bad.
Did anybody catch the little excerpt that came out about Jake Plummer and his time with Mike Shanahan? Did anybody catch that? Because I feel like, all right, Jake Plummer spent time with.
Oh, yeah, I did catch this.
Okay. In Denver, and he talked about, man, I thought I was playing the best football in my life. And everybody outside of the NFL thought I was playing the best football in my life. But when I would walk in that room, Mike Shanahan would say, man, you left this play on the field. You left this play on the field. What are you doing? And
that's all they talk about. Those 5 plays. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So how much of that is rubbing off from Mike into Kyle, right? And that's the part that I feel like, when people say things like what Brian's saying right there is what terrifies people, is how much is he like Mike? How much is it that you, not what you did, but what did you miss? Right. And that's the point. But I think
they're a lot alike. And I think what it takes to stand up to a coach like that is you got to be John Elway. Well, you got to be Steve Young. So when, they're trying to bust your balls in the meeting, they're like, okay, I appreciate someone holding me to a high standard and challenging me. But at the end of the freaking day, I'm Steve Young and you're Mike Shanahan. So have some respect because I'm going to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if you will. So you might meet me there. So I feel like you need someone who can kind of stand up to him. And could have had that with Tom Brady. I don't consider Kirk Cousins that kind of a guy. I think Kyle would benefit. Matt Ryan's that kind of guy. someone who can fight back a little bit, because it brings out the best in Kyle and the best in Mike.
So, I mean,
otherwise they just steamroll dudes, man. Steamroll.
I just wanted to point that out because it does seem like their presence imposes itself over the quarterback.
Yes. Voice ad agency says, Grant, I think you're off on Lance and Kyle relationship. I think Lance in the shotgun so much versus the cards was Kyle's way of showing Kittle how he can trust Trey to pass more in games than trusting JG. I don't know. I like the way I don't know.
That's a tough one to gauge, just because now you have this discussion about whose side is Kittle on and what's good, like conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But look, based on what we're talking about, what we're talking about right now, everything that we're talking about, it's right now. It seems like the guard is shifting when you hear the comments. Like that's what I want. Listen, I was glued to that press conference because of the report that came out, the Wickersham report. I knew you were going to be the only one who was going to ask about that because you are who you are. When he said that about Trey, that's what I walked away with. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Did anybody catch that? Everybody's looking for this quote. That was the quote. He was ready to take off, and then he got injured.
Mayoko had an interesting question, too.
Yep.
Mayoko, I don't know where he's coming from right now. Well, I'm just saying, I'd be scared of Mayoko if I were Kyle.
Yeah.
I'd be scared of Mayoko. So Mayoko said, this was great. He said, do you have meetings with John and Jed about, how you're going to use Trey? I was like, well, I think Matt knows the answer to that question. And Kyle's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. All the time. So it seems to me that Kyle probably said something on Monday. They probably had a meeting on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, Kyle's like, oh, man, I could have played him last week. I just feel like there's a little bit, maybe Kyle is stubborn. Kyle's just stubborn by nature. He's not going to let us make the call, the fans make the call. But
clearly he's stubborn. He's the one thing that has been consistent that I could sit my watch to is that he talked about Jimmy's our guy, and you keep going to him. So that's the one thing that I know for sure. Like he is stubborn in that. Yeah. But shout out to Matt Mayoko. For anybody who thinks he's the mouthpiece for anybody, man. He's swinging on everybody. He's not playing games, so shout out to him.
Very proud of him. Brittany says, at voice ad agency, you're unfortunately wrong. West Coast offense requires timing the routes in conjunction with route running. Ayuk and Lance both lack footwork.
Yo, shout out to Brittany Brown. She's on all of these lives that I'm in, and she's out here crushing with the knowledge.
QB step, drop back, 3.57 coincides with routes. It's that. I interviewed Denny Green about 6 months before he died, and I was asking about the West Coast offense, and when he would always say it's all about the 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drop. That's the essence of it, and timing it up with that. So the drop back passing game. You're right, Brittany. That's why when people say that the Niners are in the West Coast offense, no, it's a play action passing game. It's not really what they do. Some drop back, but it's not really what they do. Spicy Aponte, do you and Brad need an intern?
Yes, we do. Spicy Aponte is what they're labeling me, but I'm chilling right now. I'm more cold, calculated, passionate Aponte now than I am spicy. So
we're gonna finish up our show and then get back to the questions. Offensive line.
Go for it.
Name some people. Mike McGlinchey.
Leave him last.
Trent Williams.
Everybody else.
Williams.
He's here.
Okay.
He's here.
This injury's bugging me because he plays 14 games a year and he's very expensive.
I think he'll play this week. He's one of those guys that I feel like he doesn't have to practice.
He needs to play.
And also, hey, look, everybody wants to talk about Aaron Banks. Jalen Moore was fine on Sunday. Sunday. Yeah.
And he'll be here too. He'll be here. Jalen Moore will be here.
Jalen Moore's here. Yeah, for sure.
Laken Tomlinson.
Ooh, what's his contract looking like? You tell me. I think he should be
tell
back.
You right now. So he's signed through 2030. No, they're all
30. Damn.
No, they're all void years. No, he's out. He's gone.
Okay,
free agent.
That's possible.
Free agent. Now they can re-sign him, but he'll be a free agent.
I think he should be back, but someone else will throw the bag at Lincoln Tomlinson.
Alex Mack.
What's his contract looking like next year?
Yeah, let me tell you.
Because that's another thing too with this whole Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance thing. Is Alex Mack didn't come here to groom the next guy. Alex Mack was brought here to contend with the Super Bowl contending team, right? So that's why, when people say who's on the side of what, Alex Mack didn't come here and doesn't care about what's going to happen with Trey Lance down the line.
Good point. Okay, this year his cap number is $2.9 million. Next year it's $6.7 million with zero guaranteed salary.
He'll be back. Unless there's someone in the draft that I'm missing that's a center that they can plug and play, I think he'll be back. If I know Kyle and his guys, if Tom Compton is going to continue to be on this
True.
roster, I think that Alex Mack will have a shot to be back.
Mack should retire, though. I mean, I don't know
Maybe.
if he's like Joe Staley, where you just kind of look at yourself and you're like, that's not me. That's not what I used to do. He should retire because I think he's the weakest link on the offensive line, and I think they need a better center.
Ooh,
I think he's worse than Daniel Brunskill. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'm no offensive line expert, but when I watch on the All-22, he's the one that keeps popping out to me getting beat. But
you're good.
Okay. Brunskill.
He's not here.
Because
Aaron Banks has to be the guy, right? And I hate that 49er fans have to hear this, but I'm going to tell you, and not that I agree with it. I'm just trying to tell you what I think the thought process is. Aaron Banks is here for when Trey Lance takes the reins, and that's next year. So it can't be Brunskill. And look, shout out to Daniel Brunskill, a guy from the AAF. And he's made, his teeth here or whatever. And look, it's almost like a backup quarterback. You're a backup for a reason. The longer you play, the more the warts will show. And that's what's happening with
He's
Daniel
only making $850K this year, man.
That's what I'm saying.
They're paying him, and he's a disappointment.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So, like, listen, man, look, no disrespect to Daniel Brunskill. It's just, hey, man, you've carved out what you've carved out, and you should be proud of that. You should be absolutely proud of that.
I'm sure he is proud of it. Yeah.
Yep.
No one thought I'd be anything. Look at me. I'm one of the few guys from the AAF who became a starter in the NFL. Look at that.
Absolutely.
Super. So, McGlinchey. His cap number goes from $6 million this year to $10.8 next year. It's the 5th-year option that they picked up.
You go first.
They have to keep him. I mean, they would have $10.8 million in dead cap if they cut him. They could trade him, but they picked up his 5th-year option. He's going to be here.
Yeah, I think so too. Look.
I'm not sure he's better than Jalen Moore. I'm not sure he is.
And
that's my thing with him. He's not a terrible player, but is he better than Jalen Moore? I don't know.
It's realistically where he was drafted more than anything that Mike McGlinchey.
Yep.
I think that Mike McGlinchey is held up to.
If you got Mike McGlinchey in round 3, you'd be like, oh wow.
Oh, look what we found.
Damn, yeah. Yep.
You'd live with the
hell yeah. But at 9, you're like, oh god. Which safety, which corner was it?
Derwin, and then and we could have went through down the line of who it was, and it's just he's gonna be here. He'll be
so here. The state of this offensive line is the tackles are here. They got an interesting backup tackle. The center will be 37, but he'll be under contract. They're gonna need new guards. Aaron Banks, they could use another guard. They're gonna need another guard. So not a terrible I'm curious I want to come back to Trent Williams. If he misses one game this season, plays 16, great. That's great. Because Staley would essentially play 16 games a year until
he would.
If he misses 4 or 5 games this year, I might want to trade him before he keeps doing that. Now, of course, that's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, a team that has an issue with durability, you got to start taking a hard line with certain players. And this is one who would be a candidate. Now, he's only missed 1 game so far, so I'm not trading him yet. But Trent, you got to play, man. You got to play. You got to wrap it up and play.
He's not going anywhere. Kyle walked into the office and looked at Parag dead in his face and was just
like,
and he looked at him dead in the face and was like, if you don't sign him, we got problems. So I just, and look, and he's still the best in the game. So it's just, and
he's the only player on your team that you're like, he's great when healthy, but he's going to miss 2 or 3 games. That's fine. But the Niners have a roster around then. So they got to get rid of other guys so he can be their only.
And for the game that he missed, Jalen Moore filled in admirably.
He did.
That's the best way I could put it.
I really thought he did. All right, tight end. George Kittle. Is George Kittle going to be on this team next year?
You go first.
I think he will be,
Me too.
But I'm not sure he should be. I don't think he's a leader on this team. I don't think he plays enough. I think he's too expensive. And I think if he does this again next year, look at what Jimmy Garoppolo's value has done. His could tank too. And I think his is still high.
Oh my God, man. This is
you want to get a first-round pick? This is the best option right here. George Kittle. I don't think they'll do it, man. I think he's a fan favorite. But I don't think he's a leader.
So fan favorite, yes. You're going to have a tough time selling this fan base on that trade, even though they flirted with that idea, which I don't know if 49er fan base, whoever needs to hear this, they flirted with that idea. You're welcome. But
probably was a better idea than signing him to $16 million in retrospect.
But the run game misses him. The run game does miss him, man.
Of course it does. He's a hell of a player.
Right, and the
The
blocking
whole
misses
offense
him.
misses him. And that's the problem. Where are you, dude? That's the problem. That's my only issue with George Kittle. He's a hell of a player. Where are you?
He'll be back next week.
He'll
be back next week.
Good.
We're gonna
All right,
find.
man.
We're gonna not this Bears game. He'll be back next week. But
Then play the rest of the year, and then they won't trade you. But if you get hurt again,
it depends on how the season goes, right? Because you're not going to sell him at the deadline. This is not going to happen. But let's just say this team ends up 6-11, 7-10.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can explore the idea. I'm against it. I want George Kittle to be here. I want George Kittle.
He's a great player.
Yeah, I do. And I think that
I want George Kittle to be healthy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm going to sit here. I'm going to sit here and also, you know what? Listen, this is me. I try to be objective. This is me as a 49er fan on this side. I want him to be here, and I want him to be a part of the success. So,
the problem with the Niners roster is there's a lot of emotional ties that fans have built with these players, but some of these guys just don't play enough.
That's the problem with Jimmy Garoppolo.
They're going to have to make some tough decisions. I don't know if this is the one.
That's the problem with Jimmy Garoppolo, that a lot of these players are emotionally tied, and this fan base is emotionally tied. That's why you had to make the move before any of this started during the season, and you wouldn't be in this, in this crazy market. Look, I get it, man. I know you don't want to hear the idea of Trey Lance being here and maybe like somebody like Andy Dalton being the starter. But at this point, right now, it's gotten to a point on October 28th that is so toxic that it has divided this fan base, and it has put the 49ers in the spot that they're in right now. And I think that's the problem more than anything is the emotional ties. But I'm emotionally tied to George Kittle. I want him to be here.
Fair enough. What about the guy that I love, Ross Dwelly? He's going to be a free agent.
He's going to go somewhere else and ball out, man. I'm telling you, he's going to go somewhere else and ball out.
Which I think is good because, I mean, for whatever reason, I don't think he's ever going to get targets.
Because Warner's playing very well. Warner's playing very well.
Well, and he's going to be here next year.
He's here. Warner's here, and I think that's
Dwelly probably won't be.
Yeah. That's what makes Dwelly expendable at this point. Warner's playing very well in terms of blocking and in terms
and Dwelly's a pass catching specialist. They don't throw the ball to, so he's probably worth more to another team.
He'll go somewhere and ball out. I'm telling you right now. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. All right, wide receiver. We got Debo.
He's here.
I would expect he'll be here. He'll be on year 4 of his rookie contract. Will they extend him this offseason?
Yes. Now that you've seen, why not?
Well, I'm not 100% sold on the durability of Debo and Bosa. I'm a little nervous on extending them. And basically, why would I not extend Debo? George Kittle. The George Kittle experience. And I don't know that that's going to happen with Debo. I'm just nervous. I'm not even a Niner fan.
All right. Let me put it to you this way. The offense is limited right now because of who's playing quarterback. And right now, Debo Samuel is 5th in the league in receiving yards.
He's a baller.
Yeah, and that's the point. I think that's really what it is. And Kyle's tied to his guys, and he's never fallen into the doghouse, nothing like that at all.
No,
I think that
he'll get rewarded. Yeah,
he's tied. He's tied.
Well, Ayuk could be here next year.
Oh my goodness gracious! There's 2 teams that I could see making a push for him at the deadline, and this should infuriate 49er fans because if he goes to either of these places, he is going to wreak havoc. The New Orleans Saints. Or I know you don't want to hear this, and it's probably not going to happen because the relationship is fractured based on what happened in the offseason. The Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, they've already said. I mean, Rodgers has talked about him.
And he was the target. Remember, LaFleur, we were going to take Ayuk if they didn't take him. So now, look, I think that the Packers are a team that is trying to woo Aaron Rodgers into staying somehow. How do you do that? You get a guy who can line up across from Davante Adams, and let's say you lose Davante Adams because he is a free agent next year. Brandon Ayuk is not a bad consolation prize for them. The problem is how fractured is the relationship between the Packers and the 49ers based on all of the contention with the Aaron Rodgers, Kyle making the call right before the draft type stuff. But I want Brandon Ayuk here. I do. And I really do. And I think that he's going to be fine. I really do think that he's going to be fine. This isn't a Dante Pettis thing. I don't think he's going to fold like that. But you should be afraid of if the Saints knock on the door and they say, man, we'll give you a first.
What's he worth?
A first? They took a first. They took him at a first. If someone comes to give you a first for Brandon Ayuk,
Well, of course you take that. I would take a first for Brandon Ayuk. I would.
Yeah.
I don't think they're getting a first for him, man. He's having a bad year. I think his value's dropping.
I think that a lot of people around the league feel the way that you and a lot of 49ers fans feel.
Yeah, but I think they also think they could probably get him for less. I like Ayuk. I think he's going to be here next year. I think he's going to be here next year.
I think so too.
The Niners don't have enough assets to just be replacing everyone.
No.
They got to work this out. That's their first round pick. They got to work this out. I think he'll be here, Debo will be here, and one more wide receiver.
Good luck on
Jalen Hurd will be on this team. He'll be on IR next year. And then that's it. Everyone else is Jawan Jennings, a free agent. Sanu's a free agent. They're all out. The Niners have Ayuk and Debo. They got to keep Ayuk. And they got Jalen Hurd too. So
find someone who will stick by you in a relationship in any sort of way, the way that the 49ers have stuck with a guy who
he's got a spot sewed up.
Hold on.
Next year.
Hold on. I saw a tweet. Jalen Hurd was sprinting. It got like 1,000 likes. I literally went under it and I was like, who cares?
Oh my God, he sprinted.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? I can sprint.
Running back. Raheem Mostert.
No.
Gone.
But he is a vital piece to this offense. And I think that people are
he's one of my favorite players of all time, but he's gone.
But I think people are downplaying what's happened with him not in the lineup. And I think that a lot of people saying, Mitchell's a mini Mostert, that's disrespectful to Raheem Mostert. And I'm going to tell you why. Here's two things that Elijah Mitchell doesn't have that Mostert has. One, obviously the speed. That's something that, no one in this league is duplicating, right?
Right.
But I think it's the gap identification, putting his foot in the ground, and then being able to make the cutback move. And I think that Elijah Mitchell can maybe develop close to that, but he doesn't have that right now. And I think that a lot of what the struggles of this offense is that this offense was reliant on the idea that Raheem Mostert was going to be here. And I think that you are downplaying Raheem Mostert when you say things like Elijah Mitchell is mini Mostert. Just because a guy is fast and straightaway speed doesn't mean that he has the cutbacks, doesn't mean that he has the vision, doesn't mean that he has the gap recognition to be the running back that he is. And Elijah Mitchell has been great. And that is not even slighting Elijah Mitchell in any way. He's been great. But I think you're downplaying Raheem Mostert a little bit when you talk about him in that fashion.
Agree. So Mostert's going to be gone. Jeff Wilson Jr. most likely gone, although he could be another guy like Dwelly or Azeez Al-Shaair that they re-signed for cheap. But I don't expect them to. They also have Trey Sermon, who they love. Elijah Mitchell. So they got Hasty Mitchell. Is Hasty going to be – let's see if Hasty's going to be here next year. I don't know if Hasty's going to be here next year. They cut him a bunch of times, right?
Yeah.
I imagine he's not.
Or stash him on the practice squad.
Yeah. So he's a free agent. So they could bring him back. But essentially they have Mitchell and Sermon for next year. That's the guy running back.
They're going to have to bring someone else in.
They're going to have to play Sermon at some point. See what they got there. He's half of their running back room next year. And Juszczyk.
Yeah, that counts.
They need to play Sermon. Them playing Hasty over Sermon against the Colts was frustrating. What was that? It's not like Hasty was playing well. How bad is Sermon?
Okay. Here's the problem. All right. My goodness, man. And I'm going to go back to 2019. Tevin Coleman isn't necessarily exactly what you wanted a running back, right? But Kyle Shanahan used him like a boxer uses a jab. And he used him to get those tough runs inside zone, maybe a little bit of outside zone. But he identified where he could unleash Raheem Mostert on. And I feel like that's how you have to use Trey Sermon at this point. And it's funny because when we pulled up to camp, he was the one running in front of Mostert. And they brought Mostert in here and there. And it was like 1A, 1B type thing. Yeah. I have no idea what Trey Sermon did to fall out of favor. It is baffling. And then when you think about this, they traded up in the third round. Yeah. In the third round for him, man.
How do you go from liking someone that much to disliking someone that much in 6 months? How does it go? Doesn't make any sense.
And for the people who tell me all the time, oh, the draft's a crapshoot, you play who's better, you are discounting the fact that you've whiffed on a third round pick is supposed to play, a second-round pick who's going to be redshirted, your first-round pick who's probably not going to play until something drastic happens at quarterback. Like, don't tell me about what's going to happen next year. These are supposed to be impact players immediately. And I think that's what should frustrate 49er fans more than anything, especially because Trey Lance is their first-round pick next year.
Special teams. Just one guy I want to talk about. Robbie Gould. Is he going to be next year?
Oh, my God.
Before you answer the question, just know that his cap number goes from $2.6 million in 2021 to $5.5 million, and he'll be 40.
Smooth
and
move.
If they cut him, they have zero cap savings. It's all dead money. So they got that going for him too.
Smooth move. You know what I watched Joey Slye do on Sunday Night Football that Robbie Gould hasn't done in forever?
Everyone says Parag is so great. Robbie Gould, he's got like a guaranteed contract next year. Sorry, keep going.
All right, two things. Because you know how I feel about kickers. They aren't people. They're just interchangeable position people.
Definitely not football players.
They're not football players, right? Larry David let you know on what's this guy Rich Eisen's show. Joey Slye made a 56-yarder in the rain.
Yeah.
And it would have been good from 59.
Yeah.
Do you want me to run down Robbie Gould's numbers from 50 in the last 3 years? No,
yes.
I will.
Yes.
3 of 10. Oh, and then what did you do? You extended him. Hold up. He held out.
Yeah.
A kicker.
Yeah.
Held out.
Yeah.
Said, I don't want to play for you anymore. Yeah. I would love to go back to the place that they ran me off with pitchforks.
That's true. This all happened.
You know what I would have said if I was a general manager, and thank God I'm not? Get your ass out of here. I don't care. No one cares. You don't matter. You don't matter. Tristan Vizcaino came in last year, right? When Robbie Gould got hurt and was kicking those things through the upright in Arizona. Kickers do not matter. The only kicker that matters is Justin Tucker. Find you a Justin Tucker, and then you talk to me about when you should pay him. Everyone else, interchangeable, and you pay them the league minimum, and they should be happy that they're on an NFL roster. I can't believe that they extended him and made his dead cap hit even worse. That is absolute malpractice. It makes no sense.
Final position, quarterback. Will Jimmy Garoppolo be in this team next year?
No, come on.
Are you sure?
What is he going to be here doing?
Did they not say? I hope you're right, but did they not say during the Sunday night broadcast that there's a possibility that Jimmy would be here next year? Did not say that?
Matt, Chris Collinsworth says a lot of things. You know what Chris Collinsworth said 2 weeks ago? They say a lot of things.
Look, I'm not arguing with you.
No.
You really think it's a 0% chance? I hope so.
Zero.
I hope so, man.
Zero.
I hope
it better be. And
I can't do this again.
If he comes back, then I'm Bills Mafia. I swear to God. I'm
okay.
just going to switch.
All right, we're good. We're good. You don't need to convince me.
For anybody who wants to hear this, Chris
Collinsworth
said 2 weeks ago, I had no idea how much Russell Wilson mattered to this offense. This man said this out of his mouth on a national broadcast.
Huh.
What?
Okay.
What?
All right. Back to the Niners. Hold on.
Go.
What about Nate Sudfeld? Serious question. Because if Jimmy's gone, they need a second quarterback. Is Sudfeld going to be here next year?
I would ask the question this: is Rich Gangarello going to be here next year?
I hope not.
Well, if he is, then Nate Sudfeld will be.
Okay, so that's another reason to get rid of Rich Gangarello. So let's say no on both of them. I think Scangarello's here for Jimmy. Jimmy's gone. Sudfeld's gone.
I wouldn't be mad at this.
Here next year, though.
I wouldn't be mad at this. You start Lance and you bring in Andy Dalton. What would be wrong with that? The Bears are not going to keep Andy Dalton. What would be wrong with that? That would be the best backup in the league.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So we agree the Niners are going to need a new backup quarterback next year. They could draft one. They could sign one. Whatever. But he should be cheap. Yeah. He should be good. Yeah. Now, what I would prefer is someone with a skill set more like Lance. But if you can get someone with a ton of starting experience instead, great. Either way. But they're going to need to find a backup quarterback next year. It's not going to be quite as dramatic as this year where they were looking for a starting quarterback. But the backup quarterback search next year, I think, will generate some views. So I'm looking forward to that.
The backup quarterback.
Let's answer some questions and then bounce. Chris says, is it possible that Shanny knows that at best he's going 1-2 in this stretch and he's leaving? He's saving Lance to start a Jags game and not go back to Jim.
Well, if they go 1-2 at this point, I don't see any other reason than to go right to Trey Lance and just go start the development. Start it. I mean, even if I wanted the development to start, immediately right after that Arizona game, whatever. Who cares what I think? Kyle Shanahan doesn't care what any of us think. But yeah.
Gabriel says CB edge, O-line, and draft.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I don't want to get people upset. Okay. You took Aaron Banks and Rondale Moore went next, who is a stud. And then Azeez Ojulari went next to the New York Giants. He has 5.5 sacks. He has more sacks than Nick Bosa right now.
Oh man. And everyone knew Azeez Ojulari is good.
But he just had the injury concern. Why did they? So hold on. For all the injury concerns, all of a sudden now is when you're like, you know what? That injury is a little bit too much for him.
But Kinlaw at 13 or 14 is what we want. Parag is the leaker, says Thomas Tyler. He plays Jed through the media.
Parag needs to go.
Yeah. Mo Dollars says, isn't it fitting Jimmy first start with us was at Chicago? His last start could be right back where it started. I do think it's fitting. This could be his Waterloo, right?
Time is a flat circle. Everything's perfectly balanced.
Doug Peterson had 5 years in Philly, 7-9, 13-3, 9-7, 9-7, 4-11-1 with 3 playoff appearances, Super Bowl win, and still got fired.
Hold up. Bill O'Brien, right? Bill O'Brien, before he got Deshaun Watson, had a winning record with Tom Savage and Brock Osweiler, and he didn't get canned. So look, I'm not telling you to can Kyle Shanahan, but coaches have been
fired for less. It's all right. Brittany Brown says team needs a Bill Romanowski, Charles Oakley type.
What, a dirty guy who's going to spit in guys' faces and stuff like that?
Just someone who will speak up, I guess. Yeah. Where were your good questions from McDaniel last night? As I said, I was down there and I got a call and I had to leave at 1:30. So I'm sorry. I missed it. My bad. I shouldn't say what I'm going to do because you don't even know if you're going to be alive tomorrow. You know what I mean? What position would you guys take care of this offseason other than corner?
Offensive line,
offensive line. They need to keep getting running backs. They need more wide receivers too. They need wide receiver and quarterback. If Niners lose, time to accept we're in rebuild mode. Trade Bosa, Warner for first and second round picks we lost and make them count with the new competent GM. No, here's what I would do. Those are offseason moves. If you're going to trade people at those level, that's for the new general manager and the new vice president
or whoever. Like you cleaned house, you completely cleaned house, and you
don't let John Lynch trade Bosa or Warner. That's a bigger decision at another time. You don't do that now. Mm-hmm. I don't think. If you do it at all, I think we got the best quarterback in this draft. I have a suspicion they did too, but it's going to be a very long time before we know definitively.
Real quick, let me just defend this because people have been asking me, and especially because they're playing Justin Fields this week. I cannot say with the info that we have, Justin Fields is in the worst situation that he's in, and Trey Lance has played one game and a few plays. Like, how can you look? Peyton Manning was awful his first year. I'm not trying to say Justin Fields is that. It's just, man, things happen in the first year.
Yeah. So. Izzy says, anything on Alfredo? He's in the practice squad. I haven't I don't really go to practice and evaluate them, and I'm not seeing team drills, so I couldn't tell you. Not playing the majority of the draft is a fireable offense.
Is that the plan?
Especially when you're losing.
Right.
It just feels like wasted weeks when you lose.
1, 2, and 3 are not playing.
Dear York, Lynch, Shanahan, can you please let the cubicles within our scout department who picks around 5-7 pick our entire draft instead? New left tackle look good.
Jalen Moore. Jalen Moore's playing ahead of Aaron Banks.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I thought Tom Compton for sure was about to be pushed up to left tackle in that game.
Lilor Stewie says,
I know I'm late for this.
Oh, but when the Niners lost to the Colts, Shanahan came out and it took like 30 minutes for Jimmy to come out. Were they talking? And like you have to go out and talk to them in the press room. What happened, Grant? I don't know. The players didn't want to come out and talk. I don't know.
The players didn't want to come out and talk.
Yeah, that's right.
That loss was they took that loss as hard as the 49ers fans did.
Yeah, they didn't want to come out and talk. Yeah, makes sense. And then on Wednesday, the two people who talked, only 2 players came out and talked on Wednesday. It was Warner and Jimmy. Not a lot of guys. That's what happens when teams lose. Players aren't dying to get out there and be the voice of it, you know?
Oh, wait. Is that Rondell Moore? Oh, Chase Edmonds scored a touchdown. I'm sorry.
McDaniel all there.
I don't know. I can't really talk about that.
Do you think the Niners are getting karma from saying Jimmy isn't worth the second round, but a first? Do you think karma is hitting Kyle and Lynch?
Yes, it blew
Definitely
up in
a karma
face.
situation.
It blew up in their face. It blew up in their face.
Yeah, they said a bunch of stuff they shouldn't have said, and it's blowing up in their faces. Do you know J.J. Watt is put for the rest of the year? He's out.
Did you hear what J.J. Watt happened to him? Like literally, his shoulder came apart. Like he literally he played through that game. His shoulder came apart. It like when you listen to all the details, I don't know how that man even played through that game. I really don't. He's done.
Bringing Cam Newton as Trey's backup.
I'm all with it. All with it. And I don't care.
I'm with it if Cam's with it. I'm with it if
Cam's vaccinated.
Because I mean, his stance the last year is like, I'm not a backup. I'm not doing that yet. So
I think he knows now.
Yeah. Okay. Niners are going to learn the hard way to start Lance. Sound like that's. I don't know.
I think they already learned it.
They changed their tune this week, man. I don't know. Here's a question: Jimmy's going to start this week. Is Lance going to play? And do you think he'll play a lot? Is he finally going to see? Are we finally going to see 2 quarterback system?
I'm setting the over under at 5 plays, and I'm going to put it at 5 as under, but those are going to be red zone opportunities, which is an indictment on the starting quarterback.
Well, yeah. Keneal says, "Is it weird?" What's up, Keneal? Is it weird that we don't know what ligament Trey sprained? The Jets came out and identified Zach's PCL strain immediately. My suspicion is that it was a very minor injury.
Well, it was minor until it was like, well, it's a little bit more.
Actually, it's a lot worse than I said. He looks freaking great in practice. So I just feel like Kyle has been working really hard to avoid making a decision, and this injury gave him a few more weeks.
100%.
But remember, he's healthy now, so it's pretty much it's time.
And remember my Sunday Night Football conspiracy theory: no one was going to be chanting, "We want Nate."
No. Aaron, good point. That's so true. Aaron Wolf says, "Thank you for asking the tough questions, speaking truth, and trying to hold these guys accountable. You both do a good job."
I wish I could ask questions too. I mean, they would have kicked me out a bunch of times because especially if
there were people wondering if I got asked not to be at the press conference today. No, the Niners are really cool. They have a new PR director. I really like him. His name's Corey Rush. He came from the Giants. He's a really good guy. He doesn't know me very well. He's getting to know that I'm a little out there on Twitter, but no one has ever said, "Grant, don't ask a question," or "Grant, take a press conference off."
Bob Lang don't like any of us. If Bob Lang was still here, he don't like any of us. He wouldn't want any of us.
Yeah, Bob Lang. Yes, and he never did that to me either. So anyway, those are the questions. That's the show. Jason, thank you very much. I gotta start packing for Chicago.
Oh, I'll see you in Chicago, man.
All right, I'll see you guys out there. I'll see you out there.
Yep.
Peace. Oh, whoa! Right at the end, 3 at the same time, real quick, no bounce. With love to Brittany C, do you think Kyle would ever trust Jimmy G to throw in the shotgun that much against Cards D? More of a locker room split.
So I tweeted out today the numbers, the quarterback ratings and the stats and the yards per attempt with Jimmy Garoppolo. He is way better on play action as is Justin Fields. Both of them clearly aren't drop back passes. The problem is one guy has been in the league 8 years. One guy has only played 4 or 5 games. That's the disparity right there.
Yeah. Lightyear movie looks lit. Watch the trailer.
It does.
Lightyear movie.
So it's not the origin story of Buzz Lightyear. It's basically the movie that is based on the action figure, which is Chris Evans playing Buzz Lightyear, and it looks dope. I like it.
Oh, that's tight. The Curse of Gore says one advantage Fields will have over Lance next year's experience. I was really hoping to see Lance versus Fields this weekend.
We all were.
That's why it's important for Lance to become the starter pretty soon. Yep. Pretty soon. Brittany says, "Hey, Brittany, Kyle Shanahan offense asked his O-line to install a cut style of play. Did the offseason rules hinder his offense?"
Not this year, because I would have said that last year. They had a full camp. Everybody was good. I mean, if you want to talk about what happened in OTAs and they had to cancel all that, that was because of a film that got out, that type of stuff. But yeah.
Is it possible they pressured Trey into agreeing to be injured for the good of the team?
I don't know if they pressured him to being injured. They just were pretty much like, "You're not playing.
Hey, you're hurt.
And we're going to tell you, hey, you're hurt. I'm not hurt. You're hurt.
You're not playing." Yeah. Brittany says, voice ad agency, yes, he did it in his first 5 games. Offense is installed now, so no.
Brittany Brown is legit the MVP of these.
I love how you guys are keeping the show going against our will. I really appreciate it. I thank you.
I'm good.
But the show is over.
I'm Gucci.
I gotta go. I gotta go pack for Chicago. I gotta wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
Woo.
See you guys. Thank you for everything.